Hello and welcome to this product profile for the newly released HKing Night Walrus. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to hand over in just a few minutes to the guys in New York. They will talk you through the flying experience of the Night Walrus, hopefully during the day and at night, because of course it is a night flyer. And then we'll come back to the studio and I'll run you through the build of this model. It does build very, very easily, and we're not really going to focus in too much on that. We'll just give you a good overview of how this model goes together. And if there's particular points of note or interest, then we'll stop at that point and we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll give you some details and then we'll move on with the build. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to James and the guys in New York, and then you'll be back with me in just a minute when they finish showing you the flying.
Thank you, Stuart. Welcome back to the New York office. Got Max, going to pilot the Night Walrus. Again, I'm James, and we've flown this thing numerous times. Love it a lot. We got out here on a beautiful night tonight, so let's put it right up in the air because that's what we're here to do. All right. Hand launch.
There we go. Away it goes.
And it's just that easy.
That's the beauty of this guy. It's super easy to get in the air, just a little bit of power, a nice toss, and she's right up, ready to fly.
I mean, one thing I could tell from flying it is it wants to fly. You know? It would be hard to fly this thing poorly, because it wants to do it. Now, we got a little bit of a breezy night, especially over the treetops. We're surrounded by trees here, so it doesn't feel as windy where we are, but the second you get over those trees, you might see the wind blow Max around a little bit, but Max is much better at controlling that and giving you some beautiful acrobatics right off the bat with the Night Walrus.
Hey, it's not just a glider. It can definitely do some acrobatics.
So now, obviously, the LED's huge feature of it. I mean, for people who loved our fly beam, this is another addition to, you know, a night arsenal that we're slowly building here at HobbyKing. But, you know, aside from that, why would you want to grab a Walrus, a Night Walrus, as a pilot?
Aside from the LEDs, good flight characteristics. They were really, really fun to fly. I remember the version 1 was very fun. It took some potatoes and kept on flying.
Yeah.
It's just a great flying airframe. It's easy to fly. It has the motor in the front, so you can, you know, fly away, or you can use it as a glider. It's just excellent to fly, and the LEDs add another bit of fun to it, because you can now fly at night, or if you want, you can just unplug the LEDs and fly during the day.
Yeah, or just leave the LEDs on.
All the time.
If you're a little lazy, why unplug them? Sometimes I just want to get in the air when I fly. But now, one thing Stuart loves about this thing, we flew this in Europe. The makings of that, which I'm sure Stuart may or may not have told you already, was he had a Walrus. He threw LEDs on it while we were on our European tour last year, flying it all around gorgeous German lakes, and this is what became of that. He wanted the Night Walrus, and he made it happen. So good for him, because it looks really cool. And Max is running on 3S 2200.
So pretty standard size battery for a lot of our models, but great performance, great flight time.
Everybody has a few 2200 3S
if you don't,
laying around.
These Turnigy, we're running the Turnigy 2200, I believe they're the 30C packs.
Yep.
They're inexpensive, so grab a few of them and you can fly for a while if you pick up one of these new Night Walruses.
I know Max likes to do some inverted. Can she invert?
Can she fly inverted? What kind of question is that?
Can you come in for a nice pass for Alex?
Sure, let me just get around on this pass here. It's a
Look
little
at
breezy
Max.
above those treetops, like you said.
But you can handle it. It just flies really well. Oh, look at that, those clouds in the sky. I always love that. Looks like a painting tonight. Orange clouds. Lit up plane. Just beautiful. And again, flight times on this thing well over 6 days.
You're looking at, I usually push my timer and go 8-9 minutes. Depends on how much power you're using, how you're flying around.
Because you could glide this thing on a windy day like this, you could probably be up for
I could take it up and you can just
10
glide
minutes.
it around, which is another great feature. You can just power out, do whatever you want, turn the motor off, and now we can just glide.
And he'll just stay there.
Yep.
And everybody's probably looking around in the sky like, what is that? And that's also another reason to have LEDs on your plane, because you're definitely freaking some people out, making some new friends. A lot of people are looking up saying, what is that?
Yeah, this is all still motor off.
All motor off.
I'm not the best glider pilot, I'll admit it, but
all I know is Tom Hunt once told me, nose down, baby.
then you just put the motor back on and away you go.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Plenty of power too. That's straight up vertical, full power. Makes a cool whistle as you come by.
Yeah, it is nice. Nice. That was silent.
Nice. A little whistle.
Just a little whistle. So Max, you are killing it with the Walrus, but I think it is time to bring her in for a landing, because
now this does have flaps. So we did forget to mention it does have flaps. They're already installed with the servos, got 9-gram servos on it. I have it set up for 2 sections of flap. It's a little breezy, so I'm going to only use my first click. Push the nose down.
And look at that.
And it floats right in.
Glides right down. On our rough field.
On our rough field, no
Can't do
problems.
much better than that.
Nope.
So Stuart, take them through the build.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, for that beautiful demonstration of the abilities of the Night Walrus, or Nightwall, as I like to call it, in the nighttime especially. You can see just how well these LEDs show up in the Night Walrus. I haven't got this one turned on, but when we get to the end of the build, I'll plug in the one that's in this box, and we'll get the Night Walrus all lit up, and we'll also show you again how you connect those LEDs. Very, very simple, that is. So right now that we've got the flying done, I'm going to just go over the spec again of the model just very quickly, and then we'll build the model. So this is a 1600mm glider. It's already been out as the original Walrus. The Walrus has been out for maybe 3 or 4 years now, and has been a very, very popular model for us and for everybody that buys it. So what better model to add LEDs to than the original Walrus to get the Night Walrus. So yeah, 1600mm span, it's plug and fly, so it comes with the 6 servos pre-installed, because you've got 2 on the ailerons, 2 on the flaps, and then 1 on elevator and rudder. Brushless outrunner pre-installed with the folding propeller, and if I take the canopy off here, you'll also see just under here the 30 amp speed controller pre-installed. Now there has been some changes on the Night Walrus compared to the original Walrus, and I'll just walk you through those now. One of the first things of note, other than the LEDs of course, if you turn it over, you get this big bit of plastic underneath on the bottom front of the fuselage and at the rear, and there's a reason for that. On the original, it was a little susceptible, a little bit weak in this area, so by adding this additional PVC plastic to this area of the fuselage, what we've done is greatly reinforce this area here, particularly of the fuselage, which, as that's where the battery sits, that's a very important thing to note. Also, because it's a night flight, you will be landing probably a little rougher than you would be during the day, because you can't see it as well. So this really adds additional protection for those rough night landings. And then if I come around to the tail, on the original there was a little bit of flex in the tail, and again by adding this PVC to the bottom, we've not only stiffened it, but we've also added a lot more protection for the underside of the model. Additional features, whilst I've got it held upside down here, you now have cooling holes for the battery inside the model. That was a concern for some people with the original model. We've made the improvement now, so there's sufficient air in and air out, and also there's carbon fiber in all the control surfaces now for, again, additional support and strength. One other thing you'll notice from the original, this now has a frosted or clear frosted canopy. That's because there are LEDs in here, and when we get this assembled, you can see those LEDs lighting up. The original, of course, was black, and this, along with other parts, are available as spare parts, and your spare parts from the Night Walrus will of course fit on the original Walrus. Now, taking a look in here, there is quite a lot of wires in here, but these are all your extensions for your various servos around the model, and very simply, once you have your 6-channel receiver installed, you will need a 6-channel receiver for this model, just push that in all the way at the back, and that allows the 2200 3-cell LiPo that you will need for this model to fit in nicely there. But again, we'll run through that as soon as I've got the model assembled. One other thing of note, which we'll come to once we have finished, are the Y harnesses for the LEDs. There's the one for the canopy, and again, I'll show you how to connect that all up once we're done. So without further ado, let's open the box and get ourselves another Night Walrus built, ready for you guys to see. Alright, so we have the box open. This is the content of the box, and you can tell I'm getting ready for a build because I'm super serious now. I've got my glasses on. So out of the box, very, very few components. 2 wing panels, the horizontal tail, the vertical tail, and the fuselage, instruction manual, and the obligatory bag of accessories. As you get the box, as you get the components out of the box, is the really nice finish on the foam here. But not only that, the improvement in the decals over the original Walrus, that really helps, and it's a vibrant scheme on its own before you even get the LEDs on. Now the wiring for the LEDs, each panel, each control surface that has LEDs in has an additional micro LED coming off of it, as you can see just about there. Now, as you slide all the components on and glue them down and screw them on, they all come through the fuselage and go into this harness, which I will show you. Actually, I'll take the ESC out because that's an important part of it. But there is a harness here, and basically it just daisy chains all those LEDs together, and it enables you to plug it in via the JST to an additional lead off the speed controller. What that means is, if you're flying in the day and you don't want the LEDs on, you don't want to burn that juice, you can just simply disconnect them. But when you do want the LEDs on, just simply plug those JSTs in and away you go. It gets the voltage directly from the ESC. Now, if we consult the manual, there it is, fully illustrated color manual. There is, in fact, only a very, very few steps to assemble the Night Walrus. The first things being the control surfaces, obviously here and on the tail, will need the control horns. It's a much better idea to do that before you glue everything together, just because the control surfaces are much easier to handle when they're separate from the model. And then basically just follow the manual through. It's just a case of sticking on the tail, mounting the control surfaces, and putting the main wing on with the included spar. So I don't really need to go into that because it's all in here. It's pretty straightforward, but I will come to a few little points as we go through the build, which we will get on with now. Alright, so we're getting on with the assembly. We're at pretty much the first stage where we're putting on the control horns. Now, for the control horns for all control surfaces apart from the rudder, they all pass through some carbon reinforcement. The rudder doesn't, and I'll come on to that in a second. But what you do need to do with all the surfaces is flex the hinges just to make them nice and loose. And I've noticed, and you'll notice too, that with the rudder, in some cases it will have the hinge line can be a little bit thin there. So what I'm doing, a little trick for you, I've got some wide blender and I'm just going to wrap that all the way around. Not only does it reinforce the control or the hinge line, but it also reinforces the area where the control horn mounts. Now with that, you've now got a stronger hinge line and a stronger mounting point for the control horn. You can, if you wish, do it all the way along the hinge line too. So we're at the stage where we're putting the tail surfaces on. Now, I've already got the horizontal stab on, and I want to bring your attention to the wires that come from the tail for the LED current. There's actually a channel in the foam, and that allows the wire from the horizontal stab to run through the fuselage without being interrupted by the vertical stab when you put it in. But to keep it in there, this is a key thing. With it firmly in the channel there, just take a little bit of super glue, just dab that on there, and this is purely just to keep that wire in place. Kick it with some kicker, maybe just lick your thumb and put it down just to hold some force on it. That cable is now held firmly in place and will not interrupt the vertical stab when you put it on. So worthwhile tip. And then when you come to glue the vertical stab on and you've got it connected to the wires, you can actually just pull through the LED that you see here. There's a lead that runs off that. Pull that all the way through, and hey presto, your tail is ready to go. Does that look level to you? Okay, so now I've come to the part where I'm putting the wing on. First of all, you slide the carbon wing joiner or spar into the center section and then slide one half in. Now, one of the real benefits of the improvements to the Night Walrus over the original Walrus was this hole there. What that means is, as you feed the wing on, and let's see if we can do this so you guys can see, it means as the wires come in, you've got a little fishy hole to grab hold of the wires and push them down, and then you can also put your hand in the fuselage here and really pull them through. So I'm going to get on and do that right now. Now, admittedly, that is a little awkward, although fortunately, the size of the Walrus and the shape of the Walrus is such that you can actually fit it in and out of your car, even a small car, very, very easily. So you in fact don't really need to remove the wing. However, if you do, the 2 bolts that are supplied for it are easily unscrewed for transportation. So without further ado, let's finish off this build. Now we're at the final stage of assembly, and what you see is this bird's nest of wires. Now I'm going to show you what I do, and it's worked all the time for me. I've got my receiver installed, and I've got the speed controller hanging out as it is out the box, and I'll show you where to put that and what to do with the motor wires to optimize the room for the 2200 3-cell that we recommend. So the other thing to keep in mind that when you're doing this is to utilize again this little hole here. We'll come to that in a second. So I've got my receiver installed, and I basically, because the battery sits right about here, I want to get all of these wires as far back as possible. So let's just go ahead and do that now. Now I'm going to go aerials first, because I do want the aerials coming out of those bottom holes. It's not particularly neat and tidy to start with, but by the time it's all done, you'll be left with, and I can show you now, a relatively nice and open space for the battery. Now at the moment you can see that the speed controller is still pushed up right to the end here. That's because these motors here need coiling almost, just to bring the speed controller further forward and again make more room for your battery. So let's go ahead and do that. So just taking your finger, you can just push or pull the cables towards you there, and then push it further in, and at this point you would put your Velcro that's supplied in the box on there, just to keep the speed controller firmly in place. And so then with the speed controller firmly in place, as you can see there, I've got all my wires in my receiver right the way back here, with the aerials coming out, or one of the aerials coming out here, the other one's down along the fuselage. And again, like I said, that allows optimal space for the 2200 3-cell that sits in approximately about there, right in between those fuselage servos. So it's a little cramped, but it works. Now with the wing on, the tail plane on, and all the electronics and wires and receivers fully installed and pushed back out the way, we are ready for the light turning on ceremony. Almost like it's Christmas. But as I said, it's very, very easy. You've got the JST coming off of the speed controller, which is just hidden away down the back here. But what that means is when you connect it, that there we go, it's Night Walrus time. It really is as simple as that. And with the canopy, the lead is just long enough on the canopy that you can actually move the canopy completely to the side, remove the battery without having to unplug the canopy LED. And then of course, as you see, the light canopy goes on such, magnetically held, and there is your Night Walrus ready to rule the day and own the night. So that is about it for this Night Walrus product profile. I hope you picked up some handy little tips. I hope you've brought this model and you are about to build it yourself. You will enjoy it, that's a guarantee. If you haven't checked out the promo of this product, have a look underneath this video. You will see a link to it as well, along with a link to the product page. It's in all warehouses right now. Check out the Night Walrus for some nighttime action at your local park or flying field. Until then, I will see you for the next product profile.